world that is tapped in right now. We got an interesting subject that we're going to talk about regarding Dany Bones, the rapper, right? The AI generated British rapper with right wing views, right? And you're probably wondering, what am I doing covering right wing politics, right? Well, I can tell you there's a part of me that sort of sympathizes, not in a political way or not in a way where I agree with everything they have to say, but more so in the sense of, we've all said something that was very foul about other people, about other groups of people, about people that are opposition of us, right? So a part of me feels like, you know what? If I'm going to judge them, if I'm going to judge them, should I look at myself first? Because I've said some pretty horrific things before. Daniel Barris highlights says, "What's up, y'all? Happy Thursday." Once again, I love that you come into the chat every time reminding us of what day it is, right? Because oftentimes, sometimes we just lose track of what part of the week it is, right? But it is Thursday as we speak right now in the West Coast of the United States, approximately 7:49 p.m. at night, right? And there's still some sun out right now as we speak. He says you're welcome. By the way, just to kind of correct your English grammar on that a little bit, your welcome is you are, right? So it's YOU apostrophe RE. You are welcome. But in any regard, just a little small, grammar lesson there, right? And that's sort of the thing that we're going to talk about, right? Obviously, the English language, English people, right? They're very upset right now. They're very upset of all these things that are going on in England right now. And, well, I let you decide whether you share their anger about it or not. For me, I'm sort of neutral about it because I understand what their grievances is about, right? I understand it. But I don't completely feel it because obviously I'm not in that part of the world. I have to take what they say for face value, what is going on. But obviously there is a migrant crisis that is going on in England right now. I want to show you guys this, okay? By the way, this is a boxer that I know, that I know of in England named Tommy Jacobs, right? Very interesting guy, right? He was the captain of the British national team, but at one point he got into some sort of, a little bit of some trouble with the law, right? Obviously, that's a certain part of his life that I could relate to, even though I never really went to prison, but I do understand that type of life. I understand people who are part of that life. And so I can kind of sympathize with Tommy Jacobs in that way right now. Do I agree with everything that he says? Of course not. Of course not. As a Muslim, obviously, some of the things that he says absolutely disgust me, right? But at the same time, let's just be honest about this. We're all adults by the end of the day, okay? I'm very secure in my religion. He's very secure with whatever ideology he follows, even though, he may not follow a certain religion, although a lot of British people nowadays don't really follow religion. That's sort of the ongoing topic that they have going on right now in England, right? There's not a lot of people that are filling up churches in England. There's not a lot of people that are filling up churches in England. So as a result of that, guess what is replacing that? Naturally, it's going to be Islam, right? There's a lot of mosques that are being built in the UK. There's a lot of churches that are being emptied out due to the fact that there's not a lot of people attending them. Although Christianity just seems to be an identity rather than a physical practice. And you can argue whether that's sort of the reason why there is this rise of Islam, or is it just a natural state of occurrence when you are perpetuating wars, right? Especially going back to the George Bush days, where you had Tony Blair basically join into coalition with George Bush, and as a result of that, creating these people that were displaced from their homes in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and elsewhere in the Muslim world where there are wars and conflicts going on. And in turn, guess what happens? As a result of that, they get people who migrate to their land, right? And when they migrate to their land, guess what happens? It causes a whole wide range of problems, right? Well, let me sort of show you what I'm talking about right here with Tommy Jacobs and what he has going on, right? So this is what he had planned for the day right here. Let's
Right, so I'm in Braintree this morning. We've had 6 buses of illegal migrants dropped off into the town centre. So we was told that there was supposed to be police presence after the 6 buses left. Police presence escorting.
I'm going to get to your comments in a second. I'm going to I'm going to address what you guys have to say in a second, okay? So just hold on a second.
In a school trip, because there was a school trip just up there, and but they've all walked towards the school, children, and the teachers had to scoop them up and take them away. But stay tuned, because I'm going to be uploading a lot of videos today about this. It's disgraceful. I can't actually believe what this country's coming to. And every one of them face covered. Not one of them will speak. Sticking their fingers up, being rude. Share this out, people. Get it everywhere. Right, so I'm in Braintree this morning. We've had 6 buses of illegal migrants dropped off into the town centre. So we was told that there was supposed to be police presence. Police have just turned up after the 6 buses left. Police presence escorting a school trip, because there was a school trip just up there, and but they've all walked towards the school, children, and the teachers had to scoop them up and take them away. But stay tuned, because I'm going to be uploading a lot of videos today about this. It's disgraceful. I can't actually believe what this country's coming to. And every one of them face covered. Not one of them will speak. Sticking their fingers up, being rude. Share this out, people. Get it everywhere. Right, so I'm in Braintree this morning.
All right, so Bennett Lawrence says, you look like you go ghost hunting for fun. Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, man. Augmented Knight says, Donald Johnny Trump is a biblical antichrist of Revelation 13. Christian nationalism is not Christianity. Okay. So let's see here. All right, let's take a look at some of the other stuff that he has going on, okay? Because obviously he caught on to some of these migrants. Check this out right here.
You're getting arrested, yeah? You're afraid you're getting arrested. I told you not to enter the premises.
John Dong, shout out to you, my man.
So, I told you not to enter. Listen.
You should have a sign on that doesn't say between always. It's like you say
How come it says visitors always welcome?
Yeah. You know it's not.
No, I don't know it's not. I've just first time I've ever been here in my life. So why does it say visitors always welcome?
This person. Yeah. I told you. I told you to leave. And I told you to leave.
It doesn't matter, Geek. You can't, as long as I'm making, the officer will explain this to you. As long as I'm making every effort to leave, you can't attack me.
You weren't making every effort just now.
Backwards. It's on camera. It's on camera.
Back onto the church.
It was on camera. The officer.
There's the officer right there. Okay, so next one. We're going to go through all this, right? Because these are some, interesting stuff. He actually confronts the migrants that are coming in as well. Check this out.
Another bus full of migrants getting off in Braintree. Where there's been multiple rapes here recently. Don't wave at me, cocksucker.
He waved at him. He waved at him.
Cover your face, throw yourself in the channel.
And then, of course, there are some here that are covering their faces as a result of that. For whatever reason, I mean, it can't be COVID. Maybe the hantavirus.
He dropped off at the school bus stop.
Wow. Okay. School
Face
bus
is all
stop.
covered. I wonder why. Even the driver's got the face covered. Yeah, shame on you, mate. Shame on you.
Buddy, how does it feel to be a traitor? Hey, sir? How does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around you?
So John Dong asks a very important question. It sort of correlates to what we're talking about right now, right? By the way, that guy kind of looks like Tommy Jacobs, but like maybe the Romanian or Eastern European version of some sort. Excuse me, guys. A little under the weather. That's why it took me a while to kind of get on the live on this one. So John Dong asks, why do you think some fighters convert to Islam? Didn't think Michael Venom Page would convert to Islam. Well, you know what? This is a very good question regarding this, right? What country does Michael Venom Page come from? Right? Is he American? Is he British? We all know the answer to this. Obviously, I'm asking a hypothetical question. He's British, right? He lives in the UK. The influence of Islam in the UK is really strong, right? And it intimidates the local population, it intimidates the natives, right? Because they feel a sense of being replaced. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm not the type of person to downgrade anyone's particular grievance of any kind. Because remember, one person's grievance is different from the other. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you have a roommate, and you and your roommate, share rent together. You and your roommate have, all your stuff in the same apartment. You also have different work schedules, right? So that's sort of the thing that, kind of causes the conflict. One works at night, one works during the day. And as a result of that, they're having a different perception in how they're seeing the world, especially if one is working at night and one is working at day, right? TKO, shout out to you, my man. Nas Castro, I knew you would pull up, man. I'm glad you pulled up, bro, because you know what? What's a show about the UK and England without some proper English lads up in here? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what? Maybe I could speak in a Cockney accent the whole entire time, bruv. And you know what? I kind of blend in over there, you know what I mean, with a little bit of the accent. But yeah, obviously not my natural accent. I love my American accent that I have. I'm proud to have an American accent. I'm proud to speak English, right? And also, I have a really profound love for England. Its culture. It's soccer culture, you guys call it football. Fighting culture, right? The British are very good fighters, right? And that is indicative of the fact that in the UFC, they occupy nearly every single weight class in every single division, and that is not by accident, yet they are a small island, okay, in comparison to Russia, that has a strong wrestling program, which England has none, in comparison to America, which has a strong wrestling program to which America has none. Even Canada has a strong wrestling program, and the England doesn't have one. And this is a wrestling, grappling based sport. And the baddest man in the world right now, whether you like it or not, and me being a John Jones supporter myself, it's Tom Aspinall. He's the baddest man in the world. Now, obviously, Cyril Gane may have something to say about that, but I would imagine after the UFC White House card, Cyril Gane is going to knock out Alex Pereira, and then he's going to move on to fight Tom Aspinall for the second time again. John Dong says, if MVP signed Jailton Almeida, what are his chances against Francis Ngannou? 0. I think he knocks him out. Francis Ngannou just has this freakish power. In fact, I think the fight would look like the Felipe Lenz fight, to be quite honest with you. Arnell says, what are the latest on Mayweather and Pacquiao? Is the fight still on? As far as I'm concerned, I think that it's still on, right? I haven't heard anything about it being canceled. And if it is, you will probably hear it sometime in the summer, in the middle of summer, because it's obviously going to take place in September. So they're going to inform you of such matters during that time, right? So yeah, man, I got love for the UK culture. You know, because of football, because of fighting, because of boxing. Obviously, I could say that they have a much better boxing representation, and not only that, presentation than we do. Sorry, a little under the weather. That's why it took a while to get back on the live. But anyways, yeah, let's continue this video with Tommy Jacobs. I was gonna call him Tommy Robinson, but yeah, Tommy Robinson is his homie as well, right? So all right, let's get to this right here.
Man, how does it feel to be a traitor, busting these people around? Seriously, that. And you know it's wrong because you've got to hide your face doing it. You know? I'm not shutting your door. You can shut your own door, mate. I don't work for you, dude.
He said you could shut your own door. I mean, he says, I'm going to block him and everybody, please stop it. Stop what exactly, Jordan Rayner? What exactly, you know, are you trying to stop? Yeah, just stop spamming, man. You know, if you want to have a conversation, but quit spamming on the chat. But all right, I guess you could help with the algorithm by spamming. So,
how does it feel, man? Have you got wife and children? Have you got a wife, children, and stuff? Just answer that simple question. Do you have a wife and children? No.
Another bus full of migrants getting off in Braintree.
all right, so more of this, okay? Where did we leave off? So we were, I believe we were right here. Okay.
So today my eyes massively open over in Braintree. And I'm quite appalled really, the Salvation Army that So today my eyes massively opened over in Braintree. And I'm quite appalled really, the Salvation Army that literally has a massive sign outside saying everyone always welcome. What was that? Can't believe it. I don't know how the geese didn't see me going there, if I'm honest. Also, on the advice of...
Okay, look, I know his accent may be very difficult for a lot of you American English speakers to understand. What he said was, I can't believe that the sign of the town in Braintree said something to the effect of everybody is welcome, right? Because obviously that is where they are dropping off all the migrants at in the current moment of time right now, right? So that is the main concern, is that they are dropping off illegal migrants in this part of England called Braintree, and that is what he is documenting on this right here.
How I wild it. There is a YouTube link now. I'm going to put it on the video. Make sure you subscribe to it because there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on there. Ask the man in the red hat to leave. Right, come.
How you doing?
Right. Are you going to ask him to leave? Ask him to leave.
Okay, so from what it seems right here, this is the place in the Salvation Army where these illegal migrants are being housed at. That's what it seems right here is going on. Oh, sorry about that.
It's a private event and you're not invited. So please do it.
What?
Please leave. This is a private event.
Okay. Okay, so I think Tommy is being asked to leave right here, and try to follow what he's saying in the background right here. Oh, sorry.
You're trespassing. You're trespassing.
You're not
trespassing and you're not invited.
You're not touching me.
Call the police. There you go. Call the police.
You're not touching me.
Why do you need to leave? It's a private event.
Yeah, you're not allowed to touch me, mate.
This is a private event. Please leave.
Why are you coming up, love?
This is a private event. Please leave. Please leave.
You know, look, I'm sure Tommy does not want to go and chin an old man like that, right? You know, that dude looks very old, so obviously he's restraining himself as much as humanly possible, even though you know, he may be agitated at the fact of him being told to leave. But on any regards, let's read some of the comments that we have on this particular video right here. So the comments are right here. Says the Salvation Army are a joke. If they are not helping this mob, they want to build hundreds of homes like they want to in Hadley on their land. Okay, you guys got to give me some context of what is going on in Hadley for any UK listeners here. And of course, the common joke, another doctors and engineers conventions. He says, Liberty Mate. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the hidden comments. Hopefully this is not that. Oh, hidden by Facebook. Wow. Okay. They don't even want you to see that. They're all frauds in the SA. Okay. Okay. Salvation Army. That's what it stands for. Okay. So back to the video. Back to the video on this one. All right. Here we go.
Rude? What you had to believe?
What? Oh man, Tommy is like, rude? Oh, rude. How rude of you. Listen to this.
What you had to believe? So today my eyes massive.
All right, so he has more. All right, so we got these in the thousands right now.
Another bus full of migrants getting on in Braintree.
Okay, so they got people covering their faces on this one. Oh yeah, we've seen this one.
Don't wave at me, Cox.
Okay, yeah, we've seen this one. Okay, right here. Connor Siller BJJ says immigrants are destroying Europe. To be honest, I have tons of family over in Ireland and Scotland. Great. Well, you're gonna love this, right? Because this is sort of in that realm of that part of the world that we are covering right now. You are definitely going to love this. So here's the next video that he has going on right here. Now, to give you guys context, this is located in Braintree of the United Kingdom, right? So let's take a look at exactly where Braintree is in the UK, right? So Braintree, UK. TKO says, totally ruined us for F's sakes. So this is Braintree right here. This is the town in question that Tommy is documenting this, right? So, oh wow, look at this very lovely scene. Okay, looks like a very, you know, classic, lovely English town that they have going on. Okay, so sort of showing a little bit of some highlights right there, a little bit of some history. Okay, there's another aerial shot of Braintree. So Braintree is located in Essex. Okay, that makes sense because I know that Tommy is from Essex, right? Braintree is a town in Essex. At 2021 census built up the area as defined by the Office of National Statistics with a population of 43,000 people, right? Probably more now with the migrants, I would imagine, right? All right, let's get back to the content right here.
Come on in the space of about 20 minutes.
So what's going on right now is there's plenty of buses that are coming in, right? They are going in and, you know, by the droves, just constantly going in and in and in. And so this is, yeah, this is just more of them coming in. Not only are they confronting, not only is Tommy, and I don't know who else is there with him, right? I'm not a snitch, so I'm not even going to mention the guy's name if, you know, if he doesn't want to be put out there. But obviously Tommy is, you know, a public figure at this point, right? So he's putting himself out there, so that's not a problem. But whoever he's with, him and some, you know, other guy are confronting the drivers, confronting the migrants. You've seen one migrant wave at him innocently, right? Which is so funny. He's like, hi, you know, and he's like, oh, you cocksucker, you know, don't wave at me, you cocksucker, you know, like, so, yeah, all right, so here we go.
Eagles coming off in the town has had multiple rapes recently from these HMOs.
All right, so he's saying that there have been reports of grape that has been going on there. Okay.
I'd cover my face as well. Fucking scumbags. Oh, and there's another one. And another one. Fucking would you Adam and Eve, these dirty cunts.
Dirty cunts. Use all dirty cunts, yeah? All right, looks like there's somebody there waiting at. This is a bus stop, from what I'm gathering. This is a bus stop right here.
Right, gentlemen. Gentlemen, what's the plan today? Anything happening? How come you all get bussed into here today?
All right, so it's Castro, Nas Castro, known as TKO on his YouTube name, says, "See what I mean? No women, no children, liberties, mate. But who am I to say I'm not qualified, because they probably look at me the same as they, fresh off the boat, mate." From what I understand, obviously you're in a black Englishman, right? Is that, is that a fair is that a fair label to put on you, right? Because look, and by the way, this is going to go into the This Is England movie in 2006 that I saw, right? We're going to get into that as well, where they talk about the race relations between black and white. Here's something that I notice about England, right? They have a strong black and white unity, more than the United States, in my humble opinion. Okay? In my humble opinion, the United Kingdom has a stronger black and white relations. It doesn't mean there isn't racism going on, because sometimes that racism can sort of shift into, other people. Elevator says, "Happy Thursday." Shout out to you, my man. So, yeah, Castro, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? Let me know if that is the case, right? That is just my own observation for my own anecdotal experience, my own anecdotal eyes that I've seen about England. They have a very strong white and black unity in comparison to the United States. I think that's a fair assessment to make, right? Because whenever the English have any beef with anybody, it's usually against the Muslims, it's usually against the Hindus, the Sikhs, or, I mean, not really, right? I mean, Tommy Robinson seems to, get a real liking to the Sikhs. And here's another thing you got to understand, right? Tommy Robinson's ideas and his opinions don't necessarily reflect everybody in the UK, nor everybody in his whole entire political circumference, right? He says, "No, British, not English. I'm sure if colored as counted as English to my knowledge." Okay, you know what? You're right about that, right? Tommy Jacobs has actually corrected me on that one time with some conversations I've had with him, right? He's told me that, don't call me British, I am English. Okay. He sort of explained to me what the difference is. British is sort of like, it encompasses Scotland, Wales, maybe even Northern Ireland. What else? What else? Another province that you guys have. So you know what I mean, right? That's British, right? English is, well, you live in London, your family was from London, that is your lineage, that is where you come from. So he sort of explained that to me. So yes, 9 times out of 10, if you are a black man in the UK, you are considered British, right? Okay, United Kingdom, right? So anybody that circumferences the United Kingdom, they are considered British. But if you are talking about, let's say, not anywhere near Scotland, not anywhere near Wales, that's another part of the UK that I forgot to mention, Wales. Yeah, so United Kingdom and NI British. Okay. Blood Sugar says British is more so citizenship, but English is ethnicity. There you go. Okay. So that is also how I remembered Tommy explaining that to me in some past conversations I had with him. Okay, so thank you for that assessment. I'm sorry, thank you for that correction right there. Connor Siller says, "Don't call me British, I'm Irish." I think that's what you're gonna say. There you go, and you finished it for me. Irish, yes. I tell you what, man, I was born in Libya, right? I was born in Libya, and I've been around the IRA in Libya. Okay, they were launching attacks towards British troops. Lord Mountbatten, you guys remember Lord Mountbatten, the cousin of Queen Elizabeth. He was the head of the British military during his time. He went out fishing, and out of all places, Ireland. I don't know why you would do that, knowing that you have conflict going on with the Irish. So he got B-O-M-B, right? The word that I can't say as an Arab man, okay? He got B-O-M-B, B-O-M-B. Yeah, he got yeah, he got all that. And unfortunately, his kids and I believe it was his grandson was also part of that whole entire tragedy, right? Which I don't agree with. I get that there's a war going on. I get that the Irish were oppressed by the British, but you know, the IRA, man, they are some cold, cold boys, bro. They are some cold boys. You know, you got to watch out for them boys in the IRA. The IRA is nothing to play with. You better be careful with them boys in the IRA. Them IRA boys will bomb ya. Did you know that? And you know who else is an Irishman you should not mess with is that fella Daniel Kanahan. That fella Daniel Kanahan is not in the mess with, lad. TKO says, I've met black brothers call themselves English, but not sure if white English appreciates that, especially now with the hate on the rise. Sadly, even British, they'll take that off us if they could, LOL. Well, you know what? So that's the thing, right? I've talked about this. I mean, I don't know if Zayn, wants this, put out there. All right, I'm sure he doesn't care, but he's expressed to me concerns about migrants that are coming into the UK. And this is a man of Arab descent. He's British. Obviously, Zayn is British, just like you're British, Castro, right? Just like Connor is Irish, right? Totally a different entity from you guys, but part of the same region. Well, I would consider Connor American now, right? I think it's fair to say you're American at this point because you've lived in San Diego for quite some time. So I think it's, and I think you have an American citizenship as well, right? Connor says the boys are reassembling currently. The boys are reassembling. I'm trying to understand what is the, what do you call it? What is the subliminal verbiage behind that? The boys. When you say the boys, do you mean them boys from the IRA or do you mean them boys from Israel? Manchester, shout outs to HH right here, Manchester. Do I know you online by any chance, right? Do I have you on my Facebook page or my any of my social media pages, by the way, Manchester? By the way, sad for Manchester City, they didn't win the Premier League. Shout outs to Arsenal. I'm sure all the Arsenal fans are happy right now. But not to digress, Zayn has told me, this is a British man who's also an Arab, telling me that he doesn't like these migrants that are coming in England, right? So, by the end of the day, Castro, you have the same culture as Zayn. You have the same culture as Anthony Joshua. You guys have lived in that part of the world. Like, you understand that world in a sense where, you know what, Sky Sports, soccer, or playing with your boys, football in the park, right? Dog racing. What is that song by Kano? This is England. This is England. Again, this is England. It's like a common, title that's being used in movies and songs now, right? He mentions that, right? He mentions things in that lyrics about what it means to be English or British or whatever. But yeah, he says, yes, lived here long enough, LOL. TKO says, Republic of Ireland are Irish. Northern Ireland's are British, but mixed feelings with Catholics to my knowledge. Yes, I remember Conor McGregor going at Paul Hughes, right? Because Paul Hughes started to make friends with Usman Nurmagomedov after their fight. and Conor McGregor basically called him a traitor and said, well, you know, this is the reason why you're not even really Irish. You guys are British, right? Ultimately, Northern Irish people are British by territorial citizenship, right? So yeah, man, these are the identities that you guys share. However, there is an ethnocentric side to this, right? Which, by the way, obviously, white English people separate themselves with the identity of English and not British, right? Connor Siller says, like I said, though, us Europeans have zero problem with people that assimilate. That's the key factor. And you know what? I think that's sort of the problem, even with non-English British people, right? Because when you talk about, I mean, look, let's talk about this, right? Let's be honest about this. There are people in the world that defecate on the streets, okay? This is not standard in the Western world. This is not standard in the Muslim world. This is not standard in any part of the world that is civilized, right? But there are people out there that defecate on the streets. I'm not going to mention what group of people there are, right? Just like I'm not going to mention to you what group of people I've said racist things about, because I have. And by the way, this is sort of the reason why I'm not totally angry at these people, right? And by the way, Tommy says some of the most horrific things about Muslims, right? Very horrible things. But at the same time, he is who he is. What am I going to do? Not be an adult about it and crash out, or just, you know, be angry at somebody that's trying to make money off the internet? Because ultimately that's what it is, right? Because Tommy Jacobs was pressed on his social media about Tommy Robinson. Because, by the way, this guy knows Tommy Robinson personally. He has trained the son of Tommy Robinson before, right? So Tommy Robinson has been in the gym. It has been in Willie's gym at Tommy Jacobs' gym that he owns up in Essex. So he knows him, right? People have pressed him. Why are you supporting Tommy Robinson when Tommy Robinson is funded by Israel? Because let's be honest about this. To the core of every white nationalist, they are not down with them boys, them little hats, okay? Now, certainly they're going to have their grievances towards Muslims, but let's be honest. A Muslim cannot ultimately alter or change your life. A Muslim does not put them in debt. A Muslim does not create false flag operations against them, i.e. 9/11, i.e. Name, you know, whatever type of operations them boys were a part of. Connor Siller BJJ says, if from Roscommon, Cognac, Ireland, not British at all. Okay, if from Roscommon, Cognac, Ireland. Oh, okay, I think you're trying to say I'm from. Okay, instead of if. I think maybe you have a bit of some error there. Okay, so you're saying I'm from Roscommon, Cognac, Ireland, not British at all. Yeah, you're definitely not British. You know what I mean? You're yeah, you're part of the IRA. I'm kidding, but yeah. All right, so let's get back to this video, and then we'll have more discussion on it.
Why are you all covering your faces? Why are you all covering your faces? Why are you covering your faces? Why are you covering your face, mate? Excuse me. Sorry, darling. Sorry.
Looks like he bumped into somebody there.
There's one still in the back.
Okay, and he's got one more person in the back, covered up, ninja style and all that.
Fucking bogey, that cunt. Look here.
Bogey. Hey, what is a bogey, guys? Explain to me what a bogey is. Educate me on the British slang of what bogey means, if you can, please.
Shame on you. Second one in the space of about 20 minutes. And another one.
All right, so what we're talking about, Ali Khan, is the rise of right-wing nationalism in the UK. In particular, this rapper known as Dany Bones, right? He's an AI rapper, right? So it kind of goes into this, right? Connor Siller says facts. 9/11 was the tiny hats. There you go, right? So this is a concern that many nationalists have when it comes to Israel, right? TKO says you got to let people have their freedom of expression, their choice, their opinions, etc. Yes, I believe in that as well, without being labeled racist. So I kind of stress their frustration at the white brothers, and that's what causes tension. Right. I agree with you, right? Like, we have to sort of understand what it feels like to be in their shoe, right? And I think there's not a lot of people out there in the world right now that are doing that. He says Iraq filled their profits. Oh, okay. In terms of the Iraq War, got it. All right. So Dany Bones, right, a fictional AI generated British rapper created by a digital persona by anonymous influencer collectively known as the Node Project, right? He's not a real person. His likeness, his voice, and music are completely generated using artificial tools to spread highly political, what you would consider anti-immigrant white nationalist messaging. At least that's how the left-wing media would sort of paint it, right? To your own tolerance and to your own particular interpretation that may vary. So what are some of the origins and the creators that are backing this, right? So the Node Project, this is an anonymous group, sort of like what you had with, Anonymous, right? Remember when they had the whole Edward Snowden thing? This is this is sort of what they have going on. In fact, a lot of this kind of reminds me of the video game called Watchdog Legion, right? Which takes place in a futuristic London, right? Where they have all these private militaries as cops. They were taken over, and then they had these gangs. But yeah, anyways, so okay. What is the political funding behind Dany Bones? Not to digress, right? Now, by the investigation, there's an investigation made by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, right? So that is a committee that they have in the UK. They revealed that the fringe UK right, far right, they call them the far right political party, Advance UK, paid the Node Project to produce its campaign material using Dany Bones. The content was deployed during the Gorton and Denton by-election campaign, making it a historic first for UK political party utilizing AI-generated actors to amplify the campaign hate speech, right? So at least if that's what you consider it, right? Again, I'm trying to be very objective about this, right? So, okay, the music and the propaganda that goes on with this, right? Dany Bones' music videos features digital depiction of working class British men in environments like street protests, military-style gear, Union Jack mask. His song focuses heavily on themes of government authoritarianism, declining of living standards, national identity, while placing the blame on foreigners and Muslims, okay? So some popular singles that he has. By the way, these songs are insane. These songs are awesome, okay? Like, they sound like, what is that artist that made that song for Chase and Status, right? They made that song for the show Bulletproof with Ashley, what was that guy's name? The one from Top Boy, right? He always plays the cop role. He always, or either that or he plays a gangster role that he did in Top Boy, obviously. But Ashley Walters, that's it. Ashley Walters, right? The black British man, Ashley Walters, great actor, right? And by the way, he was awesome in Adolescence. Anytime he plays a cop, anytime he plays a gangster, you're in for a good movie, right? He's like the Denzel Washington of the UK. Now, is that for the UK people in the chat right now? Let me know if that's a fair assessment to make about Ashley Walters. Is he the Denzel Washington of the UK? Because I think he is. I think he's a brilliant actor. I think he did great in Adolescence. I think he did great in Top Boy. and he did awesome in Bulletproof. By the way, that soundtrack I was telling you about, Chase and Status. This is the type of songs that you know that Dany Bones sort of sounds like. TKO says, UK is a beautiful country and place to live and raise a family. Yes, we're not perfect, but compared to our Western neighbors, we're good, and we got to protect what we got. Playing Good Samaritan, not helping us. And you know what? Look, man, I'll tell you what I do love about the UK, man. I'll tell you what I love about the UK. Free healthcare, okay? That's one thing that I like about it. Now, there's some drawbacks to that. Obviously, you're going to have to wait a very long time to get help, right? Especially with free healthcare, but, you know, that's what it is. Ali Khan says, brother, what are your plans for the long weekend? Are you talking to me? You guys doing any barbecues? Sure, why not? He says, nope, I think you might have lionized a bang average actor. Liam Jones says, oh, shout out to Liam Jones. Are you from the UK by any chance? Liam, I mean, your name's Liam. For sure, you're a British man, right? Because, you know, obviously this whole entire title is British themed. So it's only natural that I'm going to get, you know, UK attention, right? And I love the UK, man. I love you guys, right? I told you guys in the beginning of the stream, I love the UK culture. I love soccer. I love the fighting culture. I love boxing. And you know what? I like a lot of your, you know, MMA fighters as well. Well, Darren Till, Arnold Allen, Leon Edwards. I mean, the list goes on of like the top guys that are from your part of the world. Phil DeFries, right? A guy outside of the UFC. I mean, you know, just you know, a wonderful stable of fighters in that part of the world. Ali Khan says Leon Edwards is a waste man. Well, you know what? Maybe in terms of championship level fighting, but he was a former world champion by the end of the day. Ali Khan says he almost got rocked by Nate. Oh boy, here we go again. Yeah, that one part of the fight where Nate holds on to. But okay, so that's an interesting you know, assessment right there on your part, Liam Jones. Yeah, I mean, you look, that's my personal opinion because I happen to love Top Boy. I love Bulletproof. I also loved Adolescence, which, by the way, Stephen Graham was in as well, right? So what is This Is England, okay? He says, not many waste man get a UFC title. Let's have it right. There you go, right? There you go, man. Liam Jones showing a little bit of some black and white unity in the UK right there, right? Sticking up for his black British brother, Leon Edwards right there. You know what I mean? I like it, man. You know, so yeah, let's have it right. I'm going to say that in a British accent, right? Not many waste men get a UFC title. Let's have it right, yeah? Let's have it right. He was a former world champion, and you wasn't. That's just what it is, mate. You know what I mean? All right, so one of my favorite movies of all time. This Is England, right? Let me show you guys a little bit of some image of This Is England, right? This is a movie back in the 2006. However, the movie took place in 1983. Okay, let me give you a little bit of some synopsis of this movie, which, by the way, Stephen Graham was also a part of. Also, the guy who played the father in Adolescence. By the way, very, very dark film. And this is the thing I love about the British, man. You guys know how to make dark themed stories. And I think that goes back to your Shakespearean genetics. That's what I think, right? That's why I think the British are some of the most talented actors in the world, because they just have either that Shakespearean influence, or they just happen to have you know, that Shakespearean DNA behind them. Also, I think there's a concerted effort in cultivating actors in your part of the world. I remember Prince Charles created an office to give young actors an opportunity, right? He created a foundation to, you know, in the British arts to encourage British films, right? So regardless of what you feel about Prince Charles or King Charles now, this is what he's done for England, even though he's been criticized recently for not shouting people out during Easter, okay? But he shouted the Muslims out. He shouted us out for, you know, Eid and for Ramadan. He says, not many fighters can hit that lucky shot. Ooh. Look at me now! Look at me now! After he hit that lucky shot, he's like, "Look at me now!" Hey, I'm not gonna lie, bro. That made me cry when I saw that. Right, I admitted this before. Right, you know, Leon Edwards beating Kamaru Usman made me cry because you know what, man? I knew the story leading up to it. Right, the underdog story that Leon Edwards had going into that fight. He says, mate, if you enjoy dark British films, I implore you to watch the film Dead Man's Shoes. You won't be disappointed. Give me a little bit of some synopsis. Well, you know what? Let me look up what that movie is. Is this a revenge movie by any chance? Oh, okay. I think I've seen this. Yes, I've seen this. Former military guy coming back to yes, it certainly is. Yes, yes. I've seen this. I've seen this before. I saw this movie while I was in the Marine Corps, okay? Just so you know. Yeah, I was a former United States Marine as well. I've seen that during that time, right? You know, because I was really fascinated by British films. You know what I mean? Yeah, very fascinated by British films. I told you guys, I love you guys, you know, and I think that it's an awesome country for its entertainment and also its history, right? Also, I love the UK drill rap culture as well as the upper echelon posh society and all that, right? I love all that, right? The hood stuff, the posh stuff, all of that. I love all of it, right? So yes, I'm very familiar with Dead Man's Shoes. I just forgot the name of the title, but looking at it, I remember it quite well. It was a former military guy coming back to avenge his brother's his demise, right? I believe that the brother was autistic of some sort, right? So, you know, a group of guys were picking on him. So he decided, man, he was going to go and torture them, right? And I was like, whoa, you know, this is awesome, bro. But yeah, very dark. So there you go. Again, that has been in my my catalog in my brain before, right? So I just forgot the name of the title. But then when I looked it up, I was like, I recognize the man with the beard. I recognize that that paramilitary jacket he had going on. And I remembered that he had a brother who was, a bit on the autistic side, and he had to go slide for his brother as a result of that. Spot on, yes. Liam Jones says spot on. Yes, that's such a common British thing to say, right? Spot on. Here's another thing that you can tell when somebody is British, right? When they're telling a story, right? They always use this straight away, right? Whereas Americans were like, yeah, so I ran up on him. I ran up on him, right? I ran up on him. Whereas with the British, you're like, so straight away, I went right to him. And then so there it is, right? TKO says fish and chips. How can you miss that, Kyrie? Letting us down, bro. There you go, right? Fish and chips as well, man. So I live in Sacramento, right? We have, I believe, a bar here. Not that I go to bars or anything, obviously being a Muslim man and all that, right? But they have a London pub here, right? A lot of London pubs, right? They love British culture out here in Sacramento as well. What was I going with that? So, all right, yeah, I've had fish and chips in, these places here. Old Sacramento, right? In this live stream, I've brought you guys to Old Sacramento plenty of times. I've done a little bit of some tours on the live stream with you guys, showing you Old Sac. And yeah, they do have fish and chips out there. So thank you for reminding me of fish and chips, because you can't have British culture without fish and chips, right? Fee says they also say bottle of water. Okay, yes, so you're trying to put the pronunciation there. Dorian says, what's wrong with fish and chips? Nothing, man. Fish and chips are awesome. Spicy Scorpio says, they be like, you Americans are rather stupid. Okay, so you're making a little bit of some, pronunciation there. Spicy Scorpio says, why don't British people brush their teeth? I'm sure they brush their teeth. I mean, I don't know what the stereotype is behind that. I mean, you know what it is, man? Maybe the British people that I meet in America have good teeth because maybe they've been here a while. Like Connor, obviously Connor Siller is not, not British, but he is Irish, so he's part of that world. And he's lived here for a while, right? Pat says, Batty boy. Use a Batty boy. Yeah, see, I know what that is too. I learned that from listening to Bugsy Malone, the rapper from Manchester. Right? Bugsy Malone. Yeah. You know, from Manchester. He says, what British people have you met Spicy? Okay, I'm only kidding, by the way. I respect that they arrested Prince Andrew. Yes, yes. Salute to the British Armed Forces and their police force, Scotland Yard, NCA, all of that, right? Even though I'm not, I'm not a big police guy or anything like that. But, shout out to them for arresting Prince Andrew, at that. Liam says, North Americans also say, the internet, where's the T? Internet. I think you mean say internet. Okay. Where internet, yeah. The internet, whereas with the British, they really emphasize it like the internet. The internet, right? So yes. Okay, so a little synopsis on the 2006 movie This Is England, right? So This Is England, okay, starring the guy that you are probably familiar with if you're familiar with modern British films, adolescence, Stephen Graham. Okay, This Is England is a critically acclaimed 2006 British coming-of-age drama film directed by Shane Meadows. Okay, it was set in the summer, get this, of 1983, and I love that, right? I love seeing movies about England in the 90s, in the 80s, right, when they had The Crown, where they talked about Princess Diana. I mean, those were awesome times in England, right? Because obviously it's a completely different England now than it was back then. So this was set in 1983. The narrative centers around a 12-year-old boy named Sean, played by Thomas Turgoose, who finds a community and a sense of belonging within a group of, get this, local skinheads. Now, I want to emphasize skinheads means something completely different in the UK than it does in America. Skinheads, you see them in Orange County, right? Sean Strickland was a skinhead, okay? Because there are neo-Nazi elements to that. Here's the thing, right? Skinheads is sort of like a ska lifestyle. There's some sort of, ska reggae subculture behind it, right? So it's not necessarily like a racist thing, right? But the film illustrates how the original working class ska-loving skinhead subculture became deeply fractured and influenced by far-right, racist, nationalistic politics in the Britain that was ran by none other than the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, okay? XD says, hello, sad people. I don't know who you're calling sad. I'm definitely not sad. I live a very frugal and beautiful life. So This Is England, it's called. Okay. They say aluminum all wrong. Okay. Yes, great film. This Is England. It's a great film. So key details and a bit of the synopsis behind it, right? So the protagonist, Sean, he's a lonely boy grieving the death of his father, who, by the way, was unalived during the Falkland Wars, right? By the way, Prince Charles, or at least he was Prince Charles at the time, right, before he became king, served in that war, okay? Now, after Sean was being bullied at school, he adopted a friendly group of skinheads led by Woody, okay, played by a guy named Joe Gilgan. Okay, now, the group's fun is benign, dynamic, and is shattered by the return of a combo of Stephen Graham's character, right? A charismatic but deeply racist ex-convict, right? Something Tommy Jacobs can sort of relate to, right? So the combo forces the gang to choose between Woody's inclusive community and his own militant nationalist factions. So obviously there is a bit of some clashing going on, right? A bit of some clashing going on. Frugality equals happiness. Yes, I agree to that, Funk Hauser. HA says, funny film. Haha. What is a funny film? This Is England is a funny film. So, okay, the element of the story is, obviously, there is right-wing nationalism clashing with the original skinhead culture, which has ska elements behind it, right? It kind of reminds me of the right wing in America right now, right? The right wing in America right now is deeply divided because one is America first, anti-Israel, and the other is MAGA. They support anything that Trump does, which means they are going to be staunch supporters of Israel as a result of that. TKO says, no, not all skinheads were Nazis. Correct. The skinhead subculture is highly diverse and was initially entirely a non-political movement. Okay. Liam Jones says, sorry to be contrary, but Prince Charles didn't serve in the Falkland Lands. It was Prince Andrew. I believe Prince Charles was also there, right? Or had some sort of support element, or at least was training to be a naval officer during that time, perhaps. But all right, if that's the case, okay, they both did. Okay, so HH says they both did. So there it is, right? I believe Prince Andrew was a British Royal Marine, right? You know, shout outs to the Marines around the world, whether you're a British Royal Marine or whether you are a Marine from Korea, Marine Rock, or in the United States Marine. HH says it's Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, no longer a prince. Correct, rightfully so, right? And I think Prince or King Charles had no choice but to really let him go, right? Because it was really looking bad for the royal family. And look, King Charles, bro, I think he did it right as a prince and as a king. I think that he served his country right. However, I think that Andrew really tarnished his reputation by association. So they had no choice but to really, fire him from the family, right? Which is unusual because how can you get fired from the position that you were born into? Virginia Goo-Free. Who's that? He says, well pointed out, HH. Liam says. Okay, so okay, so the climax of the film, this is England, right, in 2006. Desperate for a father figure, Sean sides with Combo. All right, this path culminates in an intense, devastating act of, guess what? Racially motivated violence against a well-loved member of the original group. I mean, in the end of the movie, you see Stephen Graham just stomping on the black kid, right? One of the black members, and it was like, wow. Sorry, excuse me. So, okay. The critical legacy of the film, right? The movie achieved immense critical success, winning the BAFTA Award for Best British Films. Its enduring popularity led to 3 highly successful television spin-offs miniseries, right? This is England in 1986, and then he also had This is England in 1988, and then one, I believe it was either, was it 1990? 1990. So somewhere, yeah, I would say about in the early 90s, right? This is how much I study British culture, guys, right? For me to know this, right? So, yeah, that's sort of the synopsis behind the film. So you look at that and you think, how does this relate to modern Britain? Well, let's go back to the modern history of the United Kingdom right now, and it's migrant crisis that is going on right now.
Being dropped off at the school bus stop. Face is all covered. I wonder why. Even the driver's got the face covered. Yeah, shame on you, mate. Shame on you.
Shame on you, mate. Shame on you.
Hey, sir.
He kind of looks like Jay Leno. The driver kind of looks like Jay Leno, the late night show host.
How does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around? How does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around? Seriously, like. And you know it's wrong because you've got to hide your face doing it. You know? I'm not shutting your door. You can shut your own door, mate. I don't work for you, mate.
Okay, we've seen that earlier.
You've got wife and children. If you've got a wife, children and stuff. Just answer that simple question. Do you have a wife and children? No?
Okay.
And another one.
I don't know how you guys feel about that, right? But to me, it feels like, I don't know, is it right to blame the drivers, though? Because they're kind of just doing their job. He says, I'm not having this. He isn't a traitor. He's doing his job. Okay, so good. Liam, we're in the same page as that one, right? That was my concern right there. I think that's a little, that's a bit too much, right? Because look, Tommy grew up boxing, right? Obviously he went to prison because he tried to, well, throw an axe at someone. You know what I mean? Because look, Tommy, look, let me tell you what I like about Tommy, right? Tommy is a gangster. Okay, he's an Essex gangster. I could relate to that. I don't care about his political opinions or his religious opinions. I know that that guy is a G. Okay, and in California, in the West Coast, we respect guys like that because this is literally the gangbang capital of the world. We respect gangsters, bro. You know what I'm saying? From all over the world. He says Tommy Robinson, if that is who you're referring to, is a fool. No, Tommy Jacobs, this guy right here. He's also friends with Tommy Robinson. Let me show you right here. Right, him and Tommy Robinson are mates. Right. Right there. By the way, the song, oh my God, listen. I obviously don't agree with that, but yo, the song is hot, bro. This song is hot. I don't care who made it. I don't care the politics behind it. Hey, you know what? Michael Jordan always said, Republicans buy sneakers too, right? And you know what? I'm a hip hop fan. I love hip hop music. I love good beats. I love UK hip hop as much as I love West Coast hip hop. You know what I mean? I love all that. I'm proud to be from the West Coast of California, but I also can appreciate other cultures like the UK. And I definitely appreciate their music, right? But yes, Tommy Jacobs, not to be mistaken, his name is really Tommy. Let's be honest, Tommy Robinson's name is, Tommy Laxley. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. Stephen Laxley, sorry. Right? So no, it's not Tommy Robinson, but he's boys with him. He trained Tommy Robinson's son in his gym, right? So and that's yeah. So here he is right here. So this is England. Don't ask why. Shout out to my top moderator, Victory, aka or not aka, obviously. Her real name, Marty Miller. Shout out to Marty Miller from Victory MMA all the way out to Ohio, tapping in with us. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of some UK content tonight, my man. You know what I mean? So, all right, man, we got Americans, we got UK, we got Ireland up in here. But yeah, that's Tommy Jacobs and Tommy Robinson, not to be mistaken with each other. Obviously, that's Tommy Jacobs. That's the guy who's making these films in Braintree about the migrant crisis that is going on here, right? So yeah, they're mates. He said, "Let's go, brother." That's right, man. All right, so more on Tommy Jacobs's videos that he has here, right here, right. And by the way, brilliant content that he's made, right? That is what I call on the ground journalism, right? So shout outs to him, even though I don't agree with it. I don't agree with his rhetoric. Hey, you know what? I can appreciate good art. I can appreciate honesty at the same time. Liam Jones says, I appreciate multiculturalism. I dislike the hatred for Islam. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, my man. All right, here we go. This one right here.
Look here. Taxpayers' money, they get given bank cards to get money, and they're probably going to go to a betting shop.
So the migrants are being given bank cards from what it seems.
Well, this is what they usually do. And imagine how, when I come out of the nick, I couldn't get a bank card for about...
A little UK language for you guys, right? When Tommy says I came out the nick, he's talking about prison, okay? So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of some understanding of British slang culture, right? Nick is when you say that I got arrested, right? Saying that I got arrested, I got nicked. So you could use it in a sentence, me and the homies, we're about to slide on the op, and the cops came and nicked us, right? So the nick is obviously prison. So just to kind of give you guys, this is more for my American audience to kind of, give you guys a little bit of some language lessons here. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I had to get a post office account first. These had to give them bank cards and their money. and they can't spend everyone's hard-earned tax money.
So look, this is a common argument that a lot of right-wing people have across the world, right? Every time they give benefits to migrants, it's always like, well, okay, you know what? We're here paying our taxes or whatever, and yet they are being given this, welfare of some sort, right? Victory says, "Let's go, brother." They did the same thing here, really, in Ohio. What was it like? Mostly Somalian migrants, I'm assuming. He says, lots of old people as well, HH says. Liam Jones says, I can tell you illegal immigrants are categorically not given bank cards. There is a reason they are put in direct hotels. Okay, so then I don't know what Tommy is documenting here. I mean, it just seems innocent enough that they are walking into, an ATM like everybody else, right? Like, obviously, people go to the ATM all the time for different reasons. For all we know, maybe they are, I don't know, rich princes in Africa, kind of like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America or something, and they got their own little money going on. So we don't know what kind of situation they have going on. H8 says five-star hotel doesn't sound derelict. Derelict hotels. You're gonna have to explain to me what that is exactly, right? A derelict hotel. I don't think I've been familiar with that term before. He says how they know they're migrants. They're probably from here. LOL. Well, again, this is the thing with Tommy Jacobs that I need you guys to understand, right? This is a guy who, for all intents and purposes, okay, is very passionate. But very passionate about what exactly, right? Well, you don't know. I can tell you from experience that no matter what I was into, I was always going to be passionate about it, right? So, Marines, right? I was very gung ho about it. MMA, I was very gung ho about it. Being a Muslim, I was very gung ho about it. And in fact, even to a point where, well, all right, let me just not mention that part, but let me just say that I had a part of my life that I wasn't necessarily proud of, right? I'll give you an example, similar to Sean Strickland's neo-Nazi past. We'll just put it like that, right? But yeah, passionate about what exactly, right? Well, right now he's passionate about content creating, but what is he going to create content out of? Well, he has a subject of nationalism. He knows that Tommy Robinson is a former client of his, at least his son was. So maybe a part of him is like, all right, you know what? Maybe I can engage in this particular way of thinking, this particular ethos, and then put it out as content, right? And you got to understand, when we make content, we sensationalize a little bit. And that's something a lot of content creators don't tell you, but I will, because I just try to keep it real, right? We do sensationalize. Like, for example, you look at some of my titles in the videos that I've made in the past, right? A lot of the videos that I've made with like with the thumbnails, there's a lot of sensationalism going on with that, right? For example, I'll write, oh, this is the end, or this is bad, right? I won't even just say anything more than that. It'll just say, this is bad, right? It catches attention. Okay, how about this video that I did 10 days ago that's now sitting at 4K views, right? Look at this. This is about Kamzat in his, I guess, what you would, yeah, you see the title right there. Look at that. It sounds really bad. So, was it really bad? Because here's the thing. This is not even news that's out there right now, but it is something that is being documented by a few content creators out there and sources from, I believe, an oppositional Chechnyan group that reported this. Okay, let me, okay. So, okay, how did they know they were migrants? Yes. So, Liam Jones, those are different by law. Derelict means unused and for no purpose. Okay, got it. Thank you. TKO says, that's what I mean, born here or not. If you're not white, you're fresh off the boat, mate. That's okay. So that's a good point, right? He didn't press them or anything like that. But I think Tommy has lived in England enough to know what a normal black British man looks like, right? Like, like Africans are not going to be all all rizzed out with hip hop gear, right? That's something a black British man would do, right? In fact, the black British man sometimes doesn't look any different than, let's say, an African American from New York or LA, unless, of course, they're wearing Chuck Taylors or Cortez, Nike Cortez, or khakis. That's very common out here in the West Coast, right? So you can tell, right? If you're like, okay, you know what? There's a black dude that's wearing khakis, Converse Chucks. You're from California, right? You probably gangbang. You're probably a Blood. You're probably a Crip. You can kind of know where, somebody's from. Maybe that was his assessment, right? His assessment was like, all right, you know what? They're not wearing any brand clothes that a normal, let's say, black British man would wear, right? You look at most black British dudes, they're like most African American dudes. They got the lineup going on. They got to look fresh. They got to look rizzed out. You know what I mean? This is very common. He says the states don't apply like that. I went to a professional school with an illegal immigrant. Okay. TKO said, okay. Liam says, Ali Khan, please explain those different laws. Sean Moody says, evening there, bro. Evening to you as well, my man. Ali Khan says, undocumented immigrants can't obtain bank cards in the U.S. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, maybe it's a little bit different in the UK. Ali Khan says, and they can get financial aid for studies. He says, thoughts on Usyk versus Rico. You know what? I think that Usyk is going to take this fight, but you never know, right? If Rico beats him for whatever reason, this is going to be an even bigger upset than Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes, a bigger upset than Sean Strickland and Khamzat, and certainly a bigger upset than Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson, because at least Buster Douglas was a seasoned pro boxer, whereas Rico Verhoeven has one boxing fight, has fought 50 fights in kickboxing, and then comes into boxing and beats the best boxer in the world. Greatest story ever. That's my thoughts on it, and I can't wait for it. I will be here to cover that this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to do a live companion for it, but I will do a preview for it beforehand, inshallah. So, yeah, man. So, okay, so those are very good points that you guys are making about this, right? So, all right, let's continue on with that video and see where this goes right here.
On whatever the fuck they want when they get given everything for free as is. Look here, taxpayers' money, they get given bank cards, they get money, and they're probably going to go to the betting shop now. This is what they usually do. And imagine how, when I come out of the nick, I couldn't get a bank card for about a year. I had to get a post office account first. These had to give them bank cards and their money.
All right, so Liam Jones says it's different on the UK. You simply cannot obtain a UK bank card in the UK without being a legal resident. Okay, hence Tommy was recording two black lads going at the ATM. All right, well, there you go, right? You got to understand, listen, there's a lot of passion, a lot of zeal behind these particular ideologies, right? So he's not always going to be correct. And also, you got to understand, sometimes, I hate to say it, but, hatred can blind you sometimes, right? So, that's something we also have to, look, it's good that you are concerned for your country and you are concerned for the innocence of your country, but you also got to understand there has to be a certain level of, understanding. There has to be a certain level of education that you cannot allow yourself to be blinded by, right? You have to be objective, but that is why I'm here, to kind of give you guys a little bit of an objective take on this matter. All right, next video that he did.
Yeah. Hey, sir, how does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around? Mate, how does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around? Seriously, like. And you know it's wrong because you've got to hide your face doing it. You know? I'm not shutting your door. You can shut your own door.
Okay, we've seen that part. Let me see the parts that we haven't seen.
And another one, being dropped off at the school bus stop.
Okay, this one's at a school bus stop.
Face is all covered. I wonder why. Even a driver's got...
Okay, Liam, I am telling you, technically you can. I know many illegal immigrants. He said, I thought any money given to refugees, asylum seekers, migrants from the United Nations, not taxpayers' money, or is that wrong? Okay. Liam Jones says, define technically, I am happy to educate you, Ali. Okay, so good. We got some interesting conversations going on in the chat right now.
Shame on you, mate. Shame on you.
Buddy, how does it feel to be a traitor? Hey, sir? How does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around, yeah? Mate, how does it feel to be a traitor busting these people around? Seriously, like. And you know it's wrong because you've got to hide your face doing it. You know? I'm not shutting your door. You can shut your own door, mate.
Okay, so these are also the same.
Second one in the space of about 20 minutes. All the illegals coming off. In the town that's had multiple rapes recently from these at HMOs. On my face as well. Fucking scumbags. Oh, there's another one. And another one.
Okay, so
Fucking would you Adam and
okay, so pretty much we've seen all the videos that Tommy had to offer on that one. Let's see. Okay, so all right, going back to Dany Bones. Let's go back to Dany Bones. No VAR Media. Let's see here. Okay, so this is yeah, this is what I saw the other. This was 2 months ago. So this guy's been around for this whole story's been around for quite some time. So check this out. This is from Novar Media 2 months ago. Let me just go through this commercial right now. Liam says, if a guy is telling me I am illegal, I might hide my face as well. Let's have it right. That's a very good point, right? But again, we don't know if where or who those people were. It's not verified. But I guess we're just gonna have to take his word for it, right? But then again, we don't know, right? And you know what? And if he is wrong about that, then I think there needs to be a certain assessment that he definitely needs to take a look at, because yeah, you can't just go and say that you're trying to be a patriot for England and help England when you are targeting the wrong people. Look, it's kind of like there was this famous shooting that happened in Stockton a couple of months ago, right? And I happen to know that the people, or at least the group of people that were part of the whole shooting, right? Obviously, there were some rival gangs going on in Stockton. So, lo and behold, a bunch of kids got hit, at the party, right? They were trying to get at a rapper. By the way, the rapper was one of my homies' nephew, MB Nell from Stockton, right? A very well-known rapper, MB Nell. He was the target because, he was a Southside Crip, Asian boy Crip rapper, right? Filipino guy, got hit by God knows who. I don't know who. And if I did know, I wouldn't tell none of yous. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is, unfortunately, kids got hit. And that's just what it is, right? Like, you got to aim at the right target. If you want to get at an enemy, hit the right target, not innocent people. Liam says, I agree. Some lad is filming me shouting illegal when I am a legit refugee. I am scared and worried. Of course, I will hide my face. Okay, so there's a little bit of some thuggery, right-wing thuggery that's sort of going on there in that particular instance. Okay, so all right, let's get back to this right here. This was from Novar Media. Not a lot of subscribers in this. I actually have more subscribers than them, and they look like a very big. Oh wait, no, 1.2 million. Sorry, that's not 1. Okay, yeah, they definitely do have more people than me. Yeah. All right, so funders behind the right-wing AR rapper exposed. Let's check this out real quick.
Shut us down. Novara Media, the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, just dropped hit pieces calling us far right And they even brag about helping get us removed from TikTok. Think about that. Are they journalists or activists? All we're doing is saying what a lot of people are already thinking. That's why we're reaching millions of people. We're completely independent, and we're going to stay that way. If you want to support what we're building, you can now join the movement on our website.
Now, Novara Media is pretty good at getting under the skin of lazy and corrupt human beings. All right, so yeah, that is the coverage on that one right there. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. Again, here's the thing though, right? If I was Tommy, what I would do is sort of look for more proof. But you got to understand something, right? A lot of these guys are not educated, right? And this is kind of where I have to bridge the gap between, my street knowledge and then also my conventional education that I got from the uni, as you guys call in the UK university, right? I literally went to the same college as Tom Hanks out here in Sacramento, University of California, Sacramento State, the college that I went to, same college as the famous Tom Hanks. Liam Jones says Novar Media is independent itself, to be fair. So would you classify Novara as right wing or left wing or center, or better yet, how about this, center left, right? Because that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, right? They kind of have this center, left vibe to them. I don't know, but let me know if that is the same assessment. Left, okay, so they're left leaning, but would you say that they're also centrist, right? Because Joe Rogan at one point was considered a lefty, and then he became a centrist, and then he became a right-wing centrist to some people's assessment. Depending on how you would, depending on how you would look at it in that sense. But yeah, certainly they are a left-leaning company. So let's hear what they have to say on this one right here. In positions of power, but this is a real first for us, pissing off AI slime. What you just saw there was a right-wing AI rapper called Dany Bones, responding to an article published by Novara's son. HH says maybe immigrants should respect English culture. Most do, only a couple that don't. Okay, so I understand what you're saying, right? Respect their culture. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, I had a buddy of mine, Muslim guy as well. His son was at a school, and they wanted him to do Christmas carols during, the winter, right? December it was. Obviously, that's when Christmas season is at, right? So he said politely, look, I don't want to participate with this. I'm Muslim. We don't believe in Christmas. We don't believe that that's when Jesus was born. And it's a Christian holiday. Better yet, maybe it's not even a Christian holiday. There's some paganistic elements behind it. Okay, so that's something to kind of think about, right? There's paganistic elements behind that. As a result, he asked the school politely, I don't want to be a part of your Christmas Carol concert. Now, here's the thing, right? Is that considered non-assimilation? Because from what I know about this man and his son, the father and son, they're pretty much integrated into society. They don't break the law, right? They're law-abiding citizens. They pay their taxes like everybody else. The son is into martial arts. He's into, other forms of American sports, right? He's into baseball. He's into, so he blends in pretty well. Is that what you would consider non-assimilation because he doesn't want to be part of Christmas? He says, I have to be honest. My best mate, Kirion Andrew, is a contributor to Novara Media. Wow. Okay. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, shout out to Kirion Andreu. Andrea. Is that how you say it? Andrea or Andrea? Let me know the proper pronunciation behind that. That sounds like a Greek name. right? Is your friend Greek but also English as well, or is he just a Greek immigrant that moved to the UK? Let me know, because yeah, that sounds like a very Greek name, and I know that there's a lot of Greek people that live in the United Kingdom. I'll give you an example, right? I went to Egypt. I was on a connect flight from London to Cairo, and I sat. By the way, I got upgraded to business class on this one, right? It was one of them things, right? Okay, so he's French Palestinian. Okay, so he is, I'm assuming, a Christian Palestinian, right? Um, okay, well, I sat next to this Greek professor on my way to Egypt, right? Here's the thing, right? I think the dude was MI6. I think he was either MI6 or CIA, right? Because this was right before I joined the Marine Corps, right? Just one summer behind the year that I joined the Marine Corps, right? And then that very same next summer, 365 days after that, I was already in boot camp in Paris Island, South Carolina, getting some, trying to be a Marine, right? So he said to me, he's like, well, it's quite unusual. You have a Muslim background, but you're going into the United States Marines. Now, what he doesn't know is that, yes, I was born a Muslim, but my parents separated and I lived with my mom, who was not a Muslim, right? So that part he didn't know. I later became a Muslim later on in my life, identifying with my Arabic roots, right? This is something that I sort of delved into later on in my life. But at that point, I was a normal American, right? Mixed American from New Jersey, didn't really have a particular religion, although I did attend, Catholic gatherings, right? Because my mom was of, Catholic origin. But yeah, so this is the conversation I had with he was a Greek British professor, right? So he told me during that time that, while I was sitting there in British Airways first class from London to Cairo, where he told me that there's a lot of Greek people there. He thought that it was fascinating that, I came from a Muslim background and that I wanted to join the Marines and this and that. So he thought that it was, quite interesting. But, I will always remember those conversations. But yeah, I think the guy was MI6. To be quite honest with you, or CIA, right? Because he was a college professor in the American University in Cairo, right? And usually what they do in the American universities in the Arab world, whether that's in Cairo, whether that's in Beirut, or whether that's in another developed Arab country in Kuwait or Bahrain or the UAE, what they would usually do is this is where they recruit journalists to, let's say, go into CNN, right? I got a few cousins that actually are in the field of journalism in the Arab world, in particular in Egypt, where they have gotten a job through going to the American University, obviously perfecting their English and whatnot. But yeah, not to digress, let's go back to Novara Media. Shout out to Novara Media. I found out about Novara Media based on researching Dany Bones. So here we go.
And Charles and Harriet Williamson. It's an investigation into Dany Bones, the shadowy organisation behind it, and the links between the artificial rapper and British far-right groups and political parties. So, who is Bones? Well, this will give you a sense.
She's British.
By the way, this song is so tight, bro. You know what I mean? Even though I don't necessarily agree with the political message, the song is tight. And you know what? You got to have emotional intelligence to appreciate that.
The next election is going to be about a question of what is it to be British?
Bones is a skinhead, regularly wrapped in a Union Jack or the St. George's flag, who sometimes...
All right, so obviously we're talking about a fictional person, right? Is it fair to call Bones... Is it fair to call him a skinhead? I mean, he kind of looks like it. You know what? He looks like a calf character in a UFC video game, like some sort of like, a generic British fighter that you can make out of like, a created fighter mode. Liam Jones says, this is so true. Banger can sway emotions so easily, at least for me. Yes. Yes. So, man, you know what, man? That's what I'm saying. So imagine you have a song that sounds like Chase and Status. A lot of British people grew up listening to these types of songs, and you hear the beat. Man, the beat is melodic. It captures the foggy environment of England, the grittiness of England. You could picture brick houses as this song is playing. You could picture protests. You could picture, the EDL clashing with the Islamists. Tommy Robinson going at it with Andrew Chaudhry. And by the way, for those of you that have kept up with UK media over the years, you definitely know who Andrew Chaudhry is, right? He was a radical Islamic preacher who I believe is now locked up, right? So, yeah, but you're right, man. A banger like this can absolutely sway someone's emotions for sure. And in fact, this is a reason why in Islam, we are forbidden, believe it or not, if you really want to go orthodox and really conservative with it, you're not really even allowed to listen to music. And there's sort of a reason behind that. The reason for that is because music can absolutely sway you away from your deen. It can sway you away from your religion, but it can also sway your emotions more importantly.
Plays as a mass deportation unit officer, and the track you can hear in the background, that's a song called This Is England, another AI creation. Its lyrics are basically a list of every complaint you ever heard from your permanently aggrieved boomer uncle. Open borders, check. No.
He says, I think music kills your fast during Ramadan. Oh my goodness, man. Well, may Allah accept our fasting, because I remember while I was training, okay, yes. I believe it can, but I don't know. Depending on how a scholar may interpret it. He says, I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. Yes, yes.
No free speech check. Crime spiraling check. No, it does get.
Oh, look at this scene right here. Check this out, right? You got people running, and who are they running towards?
Some things right, though.
They're like, yeah, we got to get the Moses, mate. We got to get all of them.
The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting extorted. Services are crumbling, taxes are rising. Austerity, then, no, that's not named explicitly. Rather, the visuals are, as you can see, pretty stacked with white nationalist tropes. These creators are a group called the Node Project, who describe him like this. A British storyteller who writes how he sees it. Working class, worn down and still swinging. Every word sounds like it comes from somewhere real, despite carrying the feeling.
Okay, there's some truth to this, okay? A British storyteller who writes how he sees it, working class, worn down, and still swinging. Every word sounds like it came from somewhere real, despite carrying the feeling that nothing is real. Worn down and still swinging. You know what? This is very common for many of the working class in the UK. You know what, man? The working class in the UK, believe it or not, they influenced a lot of the modern hip-hop urban culture that is going on in the United States right now, right? There's this man named Thomas Sowell, right? He's an American scholar. He wrote something about how Black American gangster thug culture came from Scotland. It came from the UK. It came from the white working class Brits, and then they imported it into the southern parts of the United States. And then you know how a lot of Black Americans, they have a lot of affiliations with people from the South, right? I know a lot of homies from Southern California to Sacramento to Stockton. A lot of them can trace their roots from California to the southern states, and then they obviously brought up the soul folk. You said soul folk. Is that the county that this culture came from that you are describing? Let me know if that's what you are referring to.
That nothing really is. Maybe. But the Node Project has also worked for a far-right political party, producing this for Ben Habib's Advance UK.
Everything.
Okay, let me show you guys this. Okay.
Tested. We held. Words became power. Ideas became machines. Stories went global.
Music moved the world. That's our history.
He says the reason for being Southern drawl of Black Americans sound very familiar to white English people. Dude, that's what I'm saying, bro. Listen, this is what I mean, right? Like when I look at a white British man in comparison to a white American, right? I see two completely different people. I swear to you. Like for most people who are not educated or are not very worldly or haven't really been outside of the United States, or in your case, a lot of people who have never left the Council of States of the UK, right? A lot of them don't understand that there is a difference between people around the world. But I tell you what, from the lens of my experience, in my own anecdotal experience and my own POV of my life, I can tell you that white British people are so different than white Americans. Very different, right? And in fact, I will say modern white British people, they remind me of ghetto black folks in America right now. Think about it like this, right? How many people got baby mamas in the UK? A lot of people are not getting married. A lot of people are not doing the traditional things that traditional English people used to do back in the days, right? Get married, get a job, and then, start a family. Well, now it's more like, go to the club. And then after you go to the club, you end up shagging some bud. And then after you end up shagging some bud, the next thing you know, you guys, are having a kid together and you guys hate each other's guts. And now you're just like bickering back and forth. Yeah. That's sort of what's going on. So that's kind of, you look at that, it's like, it's very similar to ghetto hood culture in America, right? By the way, a culture that I'm very familiar with in the most dangerous way, if you know what I mean, right? So Liam Jones says, yeah, it's not about black or white. It's about poor people hating each other. Boom, there it is. I think you hit that right in the nail. Spot on, mate, spot on. That's really what it is. What it really is that it is poor people generally sharing the same culture. That's why a lot of UK white people love hip hop, bro. And this is the reason why, look, they could have gotten any type of genre. The UK is big with heavy metal. Obviously, Ozzy Osbourne, is one of the greatest heavy metal artists of all time. They could have gone with heavy metal. They could have gone with punk rock. And by the way, punk rock originated, well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to reference a punk rock historical expert in that, but I know that punk rock was big in the UK with Sid Vicious and the Sex Pistols and things of that nature. But obviously, it is still a big part of the UK, right? They could have gone with punk rock, but instead they go with Dany Bones, who is a rapper, a right-wing rapper that dresses like a skinhead, because that ultimately is what poor white folks in England like. They love hip hop, right? They watch the same things, a lot of my black American homies watch. They tell me, oh, they watch Krishan Rock and Blueface. I was like, what? You watch that? It's like, yeah, man. We love that, man. We love Blueface. And that is the reason why Blueface, in one of his first fights in boxing, was against an English guy, right? Whack 100 knew that he had a following in the UK, and he decided he was going to get him, an English opponent. Dagmon says, "What do blacks and bikes have in common?" Oh man, you know what, man? I'm gonna have to. Okay, I'm not gonna ban you, but I had to get rid of that comment. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to get rid of that comment. You're welcome to comment anytime. Sometimes, usually I just ban people, but you haven't disrespected me, so I can't ban you. But what I will do is remove that, because, yeah, it's not in good taste. And then, obviously, as a content creator, you are also responsible for what people write on your comment section down below. So, I'm sorry, man, I can't have that. You're allowed to say what you want to say, but within the limits of guidelines in YouTube that I have to follow, right? But again, I'm not going to ban you. I don't like your comment. I don't agree with it, but you are allowed to say it in the spirit of freedom of speech. Liam Jones says, "I am sure you are aware of him, but if not, please look up a colleague." Yeah, you know what? That's the same guy that got into a debate with Tommy Robinson. I remember that vividly. Actually, I remember that vividly. Savachi Financial, shout out to you, my man, my real life homie in real life, man. Shout out to you. He says, Yee, am with my boy Fizzy. You got a new follower. Give him a shout out. Fisky, shout out. Please tell me if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Fisky, shout out to you, my man. I hope you and Emron are having a beautiful night, and I wish you a beautiful night, a blessed life, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you. And I hope that your family is doing well. I hope that you follow the channel, and I hope that I meet you one day, because I do know Fizik. Okay, Fizik. So Fizik, shout out to you and your family and everyone around you, and I hope that I meet you one day. Okay, Fizik. Okay, Fizik. Okay, Fizik sounds very German, but yeah, okay. Shout out to Fizik, man. I hope I meet you one day with Savachi Financial. You know his real name. I don't want to say his real name because he's a private person. You know, he's not a public figure like me. You know what I mean? He's the man behind the scenes, and you know what? He's the man. Believe it or not, man, Savachi Financial is the guy that created my symbol for this show. So salute to you, my man, and salute to Fizik, Fizik. Okay, Fizik. Check out Akla Fire in the Booth. Yes, Fire in the Booth with what's that guy's name? Charlie Sloth. Yeah, Fire in the Booth, man. Yeah, here we go. He's like the Funk Master Flex of the UK. He hosts a lot of like freestyle sessions, kind of like what they do in Hot 97 in New York, right? So yeah, I'm very familiar with Fire in the Booth. So, you know, shout outs to shout outs to Fire in the Booth, and shout outs to Zyke. Fizik. Shout outs to Fizik. All right, here we go.
But our future is up to us. An advanced UK government will fearlessly protect our inheritance.
That video used to sit on the Node Project's YouTube page, but they took it down earlier this week. And other videos from the Node network have popped up on various advanced UK channels.
Well, I don't know if they took it down, but there is a chance that they probably, well, no, not themselves taking it down, but I think I think it was taken down by YouTube, right? I could imagine that it would be taken down by YouTube, not necessarily because it may have violated guidelines or anything like that, but probably some sort of pressure from behind the scenes. Liam Jones says, oh, you know your English judo well. Your English judo well. Yes, yes. When you mean English judo, meaning like, you know, I understand the techniques and the technicalities that sort of go around the UK culture. Dude, because I told you, man, I love the UK, right? I love everything about the UK. I love its culture. I love its people. Not just not just my Muslim brothers of the UK, but, you know, I love everybody in the UK as well. And, you know, and the UK shows me a lot of love, right? You know, guys like you, guys like, you know, plenty of the people that we've seen in the chats over the years. So, yeah. Nate Jones says, is he legal to be in the U.S.? I assure you, I am more than legal. What race is he? Are you talking about me? What race am I? What do you think? You know, I mean, obviously, I think it's quite obvious, right? You know, yeah. I mean, you know what though? If you didn't know what I looked like, if it was just this and you just heard my voice, right? What would you think I am, right? A lot of people think like I'm a white man based on my accent, you know, but to me, it's like, hey, listen, I have mastered the English language and the command of the English language, and I am proud of that. So there it is. Liam Jones says, seems like the human race to me. There you go, man. But to answer your question, Nate Jones, I am Arab, right? Which ultimately makes me better than you. Psych, I'm joking. I'm joking with that. Yeah, I'm joking with that. I'm joking with that. But yeah, no, I'm Arab, and I'm proud to be Arab. And yeah, and that's that. You know what I mean? I was born in Libya. You see it in the description that I have of, you know, on my channel. You know, I was born in Libya, raised in New Jersey, you know, West Coast based. That's what it is. He is colored. Who is he? I'm right here. You could say you are. You know what I mean? And you probably don't know the difference between Y-O-U-R versus Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. But anyways.
Channels. Advance UK is of course backed by ex-owner Elon Musk, the world's richest man. Well, on paper anyway.
And Liam, this is exactly what you're talking about right here, right? And also what TKO said earlier in the chat when Tommy was sort of hassling those guys coming out of the ATM. Now, Tommy could be right. Those guys could probably have been illegals, or maybe they were just, you know, regular old British blokes who happen to be black. So there it is. So he is not legal then. Well, how about this? You're not legal in my chat. So how about this? How about I send you to the Shadow Realm? Boom! Nate Johnson got sent to the Shadow Realm. How about this? Right in your Johnson. Right in your Johnson. That's exactly what I would do. I would give you a nut shot in real life, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, why would you give that dude a nut shot in real life? Because it hurts. Duh. I'm like, what? You think I'm going to do the same things that I do in the ring or the cage? No, of course not. My whole entire plan is to cause maximum inflict damage upon you to which you can't get up from. And a good nut shot right there. Yeah, not only that, I'll damage your whole entire family lineage, if you know what I mean.
So you've got a marriage there between slop politics and slop AI, an inevitable convergence, really. But it was the Gorton and Denton by-election that really put Bones into overdrive.
I said I'm a fucking Laker, mate.
Okay, let's okay, and then of course, you know, he goes in to say, oh, assalamu alaikum, mate. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's a little bit of a banter, but at the same time, purposely disrespectful.
Ladies and gents, Green Party just won Gorton and Denton. Lord help us. Campaigned in Urdu, fucking Bengali. Palestinian and Pakistani flags everywhere. Not a Union Jack in sight. Manchester's anthem's gonna be the call of fucking prayer before we know it. The left are getting used and don't even realise it. All this our community, their community. You lot got fuck all in common except a postcode. What does this mean for the future of British politics? Let's hear your thoughts.
It's pretty Islamophobic, no? And that was just one of a number of interventions made by Bones in that by-election.
Here's one thing that I will agree, right? I think there is a growing left alliance between Muslims, right? And it's quite unusual because the lifestyle of a left-leaning person is completely antiquatedly opposite to that of Muslims. 100%, you know, completely just in the opposite spectrum of things, right? But the left wing has beef with the right wing, and the right wing has beef with Muslims. So as a result of that, that's where natural alliances fall, okay? Let me explain something to you guys. Let me give you guys a little bit of some, California gang lessons right here, right? Out here, Mexican gangs are affiliated with neo-Nazi gangs. Now, you're probably wondering, how is that possible? Well, I don't know. I don't know where the history of that is, but that's what it is, right? Somewhere down the line, they created an alliance. Oh, there was a reason why. Because they were targeted by black gangs, in particular Bloods, Crips, Asians, Polynesians, basically people that were in the Crip and Blood card, right? So the white supremacists in prison, they had to roll with the Sureños, also known as the Southern Mexicans, and that is where a lot of their alliance comes from. So sometimes certain conflicts will attract certain groups of people to form an alliance with each other, even if it was an alliance of convenience, even if it's an alliance of just my enemy is the enemy of my enemy type of thing. Japan was allies with the Germans in World War II, and you take a look at the ideologies behind them. I mean, they are just in complete opposite perspectives, but they had a common enemy. The United States of America and probably the rest of the world. Hector says, do you believe in reptilians? Well, apparently there seems to be 4 types of aliens right now, and one of them is reptilian, right? So I guess I'm going to have to. say I am a rising YouTuber. Shout outs to you. Okay. Liam Jones says this is true. Radical Islamist culture is directly opposite to left-leaning Western culture. He says, however, the way I understand Islam is effectively about love and compassion and fun. Yes. So there's two perspectives of Islam, right? And this is going to get really politically incorrect, but I'm a Muslim. I can say this. Maybe you can't, but I'm just going to be honest about this, right? There is a war component of Islam. There is no doubt about that, okay? If you are a U.S. serviceman or if you are in the military anywhere in the world that is affiliated with a coalition, that includes Denmark, that includes Australia, that includes the Five Eyes, which includes Canada, Australia, America, the UK, Ireland, any English-speaking country out there within those Five Eyes, New Zealand, right? These were all entrenched in warfares in Muslim lands, right? As a coalition together, right? You know that there is a war side of Islam, right? On both sides, whether these Muslims are working for the United States or whether these Muslims are working for Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and ISIS-K, or the Taliban, or Hamas, and things of that nature, right? But there is that. But there is also a compassionate side. There is a compassionate side to Islam. And I think that compassionate side is what opens the alliance between Muslims and the left wing. Hector, okay, so we read that part. TKO says, so much hate, it's scary, mate. We got to take one step forward, 3 steps backwards. Yes. Okay, this one, you're banned. You are sent to the Shadow Realm. Goodbye. Burrito says, what's good, little homie? I'm Matt from around the way. Matt, huh? Matt from around the way. Remind me who that, are you Matt from Sacramento or Matt from LA? Okay, so Hector says aliens rely on humans to do their dirty work for them. He says over here, looks like the father of Abraham. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment. Salim says, bro got a tiny forehead with no brain. Yeah, okay. I got a tiny... What are you talking about right here? How about I send you to the Shadow Realm? Boom. Right there, right? You can go sit in your own tiny little corner, your proverbial corner, and think about what you've done. Steven says, who doesn't know that they can clone and make those hybrids? Huh, okay. Aliens are real, but they're no threat other than David Icke. Reptilians who control isn't real. Okay. Would you Adam and Eve it? What do you mean by that? He says, no, Octopus says, nah, don't believe the Hui. They aren't disclosing any truth. Okay. All right. So I caught up with the comments on that one.
The Bureau of Investigative Journalism reached out to the No Project with some questions. This is from Simon and Harry's article. The No Project told the Bureau that it is run by a small group of creatives and isn't tied to any label, movement, or organisation. It said Advance UK reached out towards the end of 2025 and commissioned the British culture video that previously sat on its homepage. The No Project said that the video is something we chose to do creatively rather than as part of any formal arrangement, and some other video pieces produced later were commissioned to creative work and paid through existing creative businesses connected to the people involved in producing them. The No Project said it isn't affiliated with Advance UK, and we don't work for the party beyond these freelance commissions. The No Project didn't address the...
Liam Jones says Adam and Eve it is a Cockney rhyme and slang for would you believe... Oh, okay. Would you Adam and Eve it? Got it. Okay, okay. Thank you for that, man. See, learning new British slang every day, doing UK content. Okay, so that's what Adam and Eve it means. Okay, got it. TKO says, thanks, Liam Jones. Yes.
The operation's content targeting the Gordon Denton by-election, but denied the characterization of the project or its content as Islamophobic. Earlier today, I spoke with one of the authors of the Novara article, Simon Childs, and I began by asking him how Novara Media came to this story.
So the Bureau of Investigative Journalism came to Novara Media with this.
All right, Simon Childs. Now, by looking at this guy, you know this dude is a staunch liberal, right? You could just smell a liberal from a mile away. This dude is an absolute liberal, for sure. Let's hear what he has to say here.
Story. But Dany Bones is out there on the internet. It's kind of hidden in plain sight. The creative agency that made Dany Bones also made a video for the far right party Advance UK, which was until recently on their website. They've taken it down, which was a kind of AI slop history of the UK, starting in kind of ancient British, like the ancient Britons, all the way to modern day. And then if you looked into the No Project, you quickly found Dany Bones and the millions of streams and social media hits he's had.
So tell me about the relationship between right-wing parties and groups and the No Project.
So the No Project was commissioned by Advance UK to make a video. When questioned by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, Ben Habib was quite happy to say that he thought the video was quite good and that you couldn't even tell that it was CGI. Very relaxed about having just kind of AI slop in our politics now. The No Project kind of distanced themselves from Advance UK to some extent. They said that they were just commissioned to do a couple of videos. They denied any characterization of themselves as Islamophobic or a link to any political party. So they're just claiming to be a kind of independent creative agency.
Okay, so I wanted to interject on that a little bit, right? Now, Luke Thomas, by the way, a journalist, an MMA journalist that I kind of look up to, right? But believe it or not, he's left-leaning, right? I'm not left-leaning, but he is, right? He's also a former Marine, but he's one of the biggest MMA journalists out there, right? I really look up to him, right? Very smart, very articulate guy, one of the smartest guys in MMA. He also does political content. He mentioned and said that most people that claim to be center are MAGA or right-leaning. So he doesn't believe that there is such thing as a centrist. He doesn't believe that there is such thing as somebody that's neutral. He believes that centrists usually bring up the talking points of the right wing. So in other words, in a way, like validating a lot of their worldview, right? AR says, Advance UK founder is a British Pakistani. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Because you got to understand, right? There's a lot of patriotic Pakistani British people, right? Sometimes they have a Muslim identity. Sometimes they have zeal towards their Islamic faith. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just straight up heretics to the highest order, right? And they just believe in nationalism. Or sometimes they just blend both, right? He says that liberal never walked in the hood his life. Oh, you're talking about Simon Childs? He says, hi, Kyrie. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Like and subscribe. Thanks. Shout out to you, my man. Liam Jones says, see, I understand I am a bad person, but I resent these limp-fisted people representing my beliefs. Yeah, Liam says, Luke Thomas is the dude. He is, man. No, Luke Thomas, regardless of my opinion on him, regardless of my particular political leaning or my religious leaning or just differences of political opinion, I think that he is the smartest man in MMA, in my humble opinion. So.
Which could be true. They could be independently pushing this very far-right rhetoric. The relationship...
H says England has a very proud history. Indeed, they do.
It's not entirely clear.
You know, they ruled.
Other than
they ruled the world at one point.
They were commissioned by Advance UK.
I mean, surely people can just tell it's AI, right? Or did you find when you looked into the reaction that it had a pretty big political impact anyway?
I think it was surprising reporting the story how good actually the video and music were. I don't mean it was like a good music video or the music was good. It's awful.
Okay, so TKO brought up a very important comment, right? He says, I'm against dual citizenship you're either born in the UK, use the Union Jack, not two flags like the other fighters from ethnic groups do. I don't like that, in my opinion. You know what? Paddy Pimblett once got at Muhammad Makayev for rocking the British flag. He says, you're not even British, you're Dagestani. But he's proud to be British. He's proud to embrace the British culture, right? And in fact, even Tommy Robinson himself would probably embrace Muhammad Makayev for rocking the Union Jack, right? But, you know, to each its own of how they may interpret that. Liam Jones says, yo, my girlfriend, 9 years, is British Indian, and I have to be honest, her family couldn't be any more nasty regarding Muslims. Okay, so British Indian, I'm assuming they're not of Muslim backgrounds, obviously, so they're probably either Hindu or Sikh. Yeah, this is very common, right? A lot of Sikhs and Hindus have sworn hatred towards Muslims. In fact, there's a lot of EDL members that are of Indian background. So AR says the majority of grooming gangs in the UK originating from Rochdale, Rotterdam, and other northern towns in the UK, majority were Pakistani and British Pakistanis. So this is another thing, right? I often notice that they correlate the religion with the actions of people that are not even religious, okay? Like nowhere does it say that you go out and you grape people or you have these grooming gangs to do whatever, right? Like nowhere in the religion does it say that. But for whatever reason, many of the right-wing, well, at least in the case of Tommy Robinson, he sort of correlates that as, you know, as some sort of expression of, you know, of Islam or, you know, the practice of Islam of some sort, right? He gets slapped by some random Islamist in the street, right? You guys remember that famous video of Tommy Robinson getting slapped in the street by some, you know, by some random, you know, Pakistani dude in a Galabaya, right? He gets slapped, and what he says, oh, effing chief, you see that? You see that? Now that's Islam right there. That is Islam right there. TKO says that is to be proud patriot and see if you'll get hate. Obviously, you'll always get the ones in a few, but the majority respect you representing Brits, in my opinion. Okay. AR says we need to separate culture and Islam. There it is. That's the main key right there, right? You got to separate culture and Islam. They are two completely different entities, right? And yeah, that's sort of the problem with the debate on these quote-unquote grooming gangs. AR says, law look at people, individuals, and sentence them individually. Yes.
It's dross. But, you know, humans can make bad music. Humans make dross. But this song, This Is England, which is the Dany Bones is like the song that's got the most streams. It is catchy. Like it
is. That's what we were saying earlier, right? This is very catchy. Very, very catchy. I mean, like, honestly, yo, it makes me want to go to that march, okay? That song makes me want to go to that march, right? Man, there is a vibe to it. There is definitely a vibe to it, and it literally captures England. So
has got in my head this week when I've been working on this story. And it's not, the music is not so obvious that the music is AI created. Like it sounds like rubbish, but then so much music does. The videos, yeah, you can kind of tell that they're very hyper real. It's almost like watching something from a video game, but it's not exactly shonky. And it's kind of...
There it is, the video game, Watchdog London. That's what it reminds me of, that video game, Watchdog London, yeah. He says, these AR far-right videos connecting the occasion British working class. Okay.
Tell the direction it's going, and you could see that in not too long, we'll get AI-created videos that are quite realistic. And I also think we're at a place where the boundaries between what is real and what is completely fake are kind of fraying anyway. Like, you know, you could shoot a real video and then put a filter on it. So kind of like, I don't think it necessarily affects the impact too much. And, clearly, despite being just like fake slop, it's touched a nerve because there's, so many streams on this stuff.
Yeah, I think I would definitely agree with you on that there is clearly a level of impact that it will have, even if people realize that it's AI. You hear the phrase something like, well, just the fact that we thought this could be true tells you something, right? And as AI will get cheaper and it'll get better and it'll get more convincing, this stuff will become more common. And we've already seen AI videos go around. We've seen people like the Crew Cut Gazette was quite famous very recently for right-wing AI videos too. But broadly in general, what do you think the risks are to our politics and what can be done to limit them in future?
I mean, the risks, directly the Dany Bones stuff, he says some quite kind of unpleasant things about Hannah Spencer and the recent by-election in Gorton and Denton. The Green Party obviously put out some videos in Urdu to appeal to certain voters there, which is fairly American. Dany Bone said it was fucking unbelievable and was expressing quite a lot of anger about that. So I just think having such an easy mechanism to disseminate a kind of divisive message is quite scary. And I just think it's become easy.
AR says the local election in the UK reform won 1,400 plus seats. If they were the general election, they would have gotten 26%, which means they would have got the election controlled the UK and Nigel Farage as the prime minister. Yeah, at some point, right, they will have a right-wing prime minister. Sort of what's going on in the United States right now, right? Many people don't like what Trump is doing. In fact, Trump is stealing a lot of money from the Treasury, right? I urge you to take a look at Luke Thomas's live chat that he did today, right? And he sort of talks about it. There's a possible impeachment if the Democrats get into office, okay? And there's a good chance that they will, because even Nick Fuentes is now leaning towards the Democrat, and this guy is literally the real far right extremist. Like, he doesn't believe in interracial marriages. I mean, Tommy Robinson is not that radical. In fact, being supported by Israel probably makes Tommy Robinson less radical than the likes of Nigel Farage. But yeah.
Easier and easier to disseminate that kind of messaging. Wasn't that long ago that you didn't have platforms that made it very, very easy to push far-right talking points and potentially monetize them. Now we have not only those platforms, but also the means to create very, very easily this kind of imagery again and again and again. And, following the publication of our report, the Node Project has immediately published a video responding to it, saying that we did a hit piece. The Dany Bones character is quite angry. And yeah, it's just kind of so easy to create this kind of world that he's in. And I think that's concerning.
So given the risks that are going to come from the widespread adoption of these kind of things we've talked about there, do we know if the Electoral Commission are looking into ways that they're going to be able to pump the brakes on this stuff?
Okay, so an important point right here. Liam Jones says local elections are not a good equation for national elections. I see what you're saying, right? It's sort of like municipal, city council that we have here, as opposed to, let's say, Senate and Congress, right? Which is a little bit more of a bigger deal. So, yeah. Okay, so let's get back to this video right here.
Should it become an issue?
So the Electoral Commission did respond to the investigation, and they basically encouraged people to think critically about what they're seeing, and didn't really say that much or give that much reassurance that they're looking into it.
Should we have a change, for example, in laws governing election material that's made with artificial intelligence, in your opinion?
Possibly. I mean, I think also, you have to question the platforms. So TikTok did take the Dany Bones stuff down.
AR says the far right, when I was a kid in the 90s, you knew who they were and can see them a mile off. Nowadays, it's all political now, and it's hard to find who the racists are. It's very hard. I wouldn't say that it's hard. It's more like it's become normalized, right? I think that's the best way to kind of put it, right? I think it's yeah, I think it's become normalized now, if you really think about it. The normalization of racism is is a reality now. So yeah. Liam says zero. Zero what? You're gonna have to give me some context on that. All right.
I think YouTube added a label saying to let people know that they're watching AI. Spotify said that humans had reviewed the song and it hadn't broken any rules, and so like nothing's happening there. I mean, obviously there's a kind of balance to be struck between allowing people to express things freely, but at the same time, yeah, you have these platforms just allowing people to disseminate sort of incredibly divisive rhetoric and make money from it, and the algorithm kind of rewards people for stirring things up. And so I think, that's where I would look personally.
And that last part, he's absolutely right. The algorithm definitely rewards people for stirring stuff up. And yeah, this is one of those subjects that, is being stirred up right now. And as a result of that, it's kind of the reason why, I went and came here and did this. He says, AR, you can learn so much by eye contact. I'll give you a rough idea, in my opinion. Okay. He says, AR, I agree. It's more insidious now. Yes. Yes, it is. Definitely a whole lot more. Unfortunately, this is what it led to, right? You guys know what happened recently with the San Diego mosque shooting, right? This is right here. Check this out.
And killed at the Islamic
This is
Center
what
of
it led
San
to
Diego
right
Monday.
here.
The community is gathering to remember them before they're laid to rest. News 8's Tori Apodaca joining us from SDSU Mission Valley River Park near Snapdragon Stadium with more.
Yeah, I can tell you that the mood out here is somber. There are hundreds, possibly even thousands of people who have showed up for this funeral prayer service.
AR says, I'm on YouTube and social media is incredibly toxic and negative. It's rife with far-right individuals and fake name accounts. Huh.
Just moments.
Maybe perpetuated by a certain Middle Eastern country that I dare not mention.
Ago, the hearse did arrive here, but we will not be showing you that just out of respect as this community comes together to remember those three men who they are calling martyrs. What's going to be happening out here is what's called the Janazah prayer. And what that entails is reciting the opening chapter of the Quran. Following that, they will pray for the families of the three men who lost their lives, and then they will remember them well. After all of this prayer service out here,
Adrian Wilkinson says, you can say Iran. Well, you think that Iran is the one that's perpetuating that? AR says, I hate mainstream media and news are so fuel of propaganda and negativity.
Then we'll go to National City to have a proper burial for those men. And I can tell you, just over these past hours, I have been talking with many of the people who knew each of them well. We've been learning more and more about all of them over the past few days. One story that stuck with me in particular was about Mansour Kazia. He's one of the victims. He was a store clerk at the...
He said a certain Middle Eastern country would never. What are you talking about, you anti-Sheesh? I had to go throw the Draco the Ruler sound on that one time. Sheesh! You anti-Sheesh! I didn't say G, I said Sheesh. Okay.
At the Islamic Center of San Diego. Here is what someone we caught up with before the service had to say.
He would bring us into the store and let us take whatever we wanted for free, But the amazing thing is, I found out after he died that I wasn't the only one he was doing that to, I mean, everybody was saying the same story.
They should be remembered for the years and years and years of service that they provided to us and to this mosque and to the entire world. I mean, these three people raised generations of Muslims who are doing amazing things now.
Yeah, that was something very impactful hearing from that young woman. Just that each of these men, they were fathers, they were husbands, they had their own kids who have now gone on to do different professions within communities even beyond San Diego. And you can see those photos of them again, their names, Mansour Kazia, he ran the store at the mosque. Amin Abdullah, he was a security guard who we know made that critical phone call to tell the children and staff inside to shelter in place. And then Nadir Awad, his wife was a teacher at that school, and he lived across the street and ran to the gunfire once he started hearing those shots ringing out, ultimately losing his life. And now back out here, you can see as just more people are pouring into this service that's going to be getting started any moment now. We initially were going to be able to bring you that live stream of it, but out of respect and their privacy, we have decided to just report on it as best we can from.
All right, man. Well, shout outs to the local San Diego media for that, for showing them the respect that they deserve in privacy, of course.
From the outside, as this is a very intimate setting.
TKO says, all in the name of hate, sad world, pathetic, if you ask me my personal opinion. It really is, man. You know what? And they were close to getting at kids, too, which is, never good. You know what I mean?
As they are laying to rest these three men who they say are martyrs, that they died.
They called the shooter hate crime and not terrorism. Yes, that's sort of the big debate around that right now. Yeah, you're right.
Defending the Muslim religion and really just being an example even to them. And I'm sure as the hours and days to come, we will continue to hear more of those stories told and just the importance for them and their faith to be able to lay them to rest just days after all of this tragedy unfolded at the Islamic Center of San Diego. But definitely a mood of emotion, somber, but at the same time, unity and compassion as just more and more people from this community pour in. And we, of course, here at News 8 will continue to bring you more updates on all of this as we learn it. For now, reporting in San Diego, Tori Apodaca, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Tori, thank you. And then following the prayer service there in Mission Valley, loved ones will then take the three men's bodies to La Vista Memorial Park, that's International City, where in Islamic tradition, it calls for burial as soon as possible.
News 8's Abby Black is there outside the cemetery live.
Liam says, definitely not an act of terrorism call. AR says, Keir Starmer never connected to the working British class. Yes, TKO says if black and brown people killed, it's a hate crime. Anyone else, it's terrorism. I thought you knew by now, AR. Man, the double standards behind that. Yeah, I know.
Live now with more on the next part of this here memorial.
Eric, we know that the three men, those bodies are having a police escort right now here to the La Vista Memorial Park, and you can see that hundreds of mourners are already starting to arrive. We know that the parking is now at capacity, so many people are trying to park in and around this neighborhood. This is a community that's still in grief just days after the mass shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego. Now, per Muslim tradition, burials often happen as soon as possible, a reflection of the faith's emphasis on dignity and respect for the dead. The three men being laid to rest today, security guard Amin Abdullah, community member Nadir Awad, and mosque shopkeeper Mansour Kazia were called heroes by police and mosque leaders alike. They distracted the gunman Monday, shielding more than 100 children who were inside. At a Muslim burial, family members take an active role, lowering the body into the ground and placing soil themselves. The deceased is wrapped in a simple white shroud and laid to rest facing the Mecca. Now, we just heard from the cemetery that we are allowed to go inside, but out of respect for privacy, we are not going to live stream this event, but we will share with you more from the family members and many of the mourners here today on the incredible lives that these three men led here in San Diego and their community. Reporting live in National City, Abby Black, News 8.
Listen, what if you can start? All right, so shout out to San Diego, the beautiful community of San Diego. For those of you that don't know, San Diego has a Marine Corps base down there. It's also, so it's a big military town. It's also a naval town as well. It's also a town with a lot of gangsters as well, right? So a little bit of a combination of gangsters, military, and what's the other one? MMA fighters. Obviously, they have a huge MMA contingency out there. He says, "What happened to the shooter? Was he nicked or KIA'd? They blasted themselves." And I believe one of them was also Latino, right? But also had a bit of left wing. Had a bit of neo-Nazi leaning, right? Which kind of tells you a little bit of the the example of what I mentioned earlier about the alliance between the Mexican mafia and neo-Nazi skinhead gangs in California, right? Because there are Hispanics that sort of identify themselves as white, right, or Spaniard, or having roots from Spain. AR says, why in the U.S. have an issue with female teachers sleeping with underage boys and they get attacked then compared to a male teacher? You know what it is? I think that with males, we sort of understand and see there is a strength factor involved, right? With men versus women. I think that's just what it really comes down to. He says, and that's not terrorism? ? Classic. I know, sarcastically speaking, as TKO says. Robbie says, hi. Hello, Robbie. Let me know what part of the world you are from. So, all right, guys. I want to close it off with this, right? We had about 500 people pull up here today, right? Very good number for a stream during this time of the night, right? I don't usually come on during this time of the night, but I figured I had to come in here. It was one of these projects that I was really passionate of doing, right? This particular content, talking about things that I, have a pretty good understanding of, right? Understanding of the British culture, understanding of the Islamic culture, obviously the history behind it, and also just having a little bit of some reminiscing in the mid 2000s and whatnot, right? Having a bit of that, nice, reminiscing of some sort, right? So, it was good. But I just wanted to say this, right? I think hate begets hate. I think we know that, right? And I think violence begets violence. That's a given. That is a given. But I think people need to really understand the value of objectivity, because we're going to have our opinions, but at the same time, we're also going to feel strongly about it, and some more than others. Here's the thing with Tommy, right? Because obviously I use a lot of his content for this one, right? Shout outs to him. But I just wanted to say this, right? Some of the things that he says about Muslims are just absolutely horrendous. But, he's a man, I'm a man. He's entitled to his opinion. It is what it is. If he wants to debate me on that particular subject, of course, I would oblige him to. But what I will say is that I think that he's playing a very dangerous game, right? Because what I showed you out of Tommy Jacobs, the videos that I showed you was not even in comparison to the other videos that he's made talking really bad about Muslims. Now, me, I have enough emotional intelligence to debate you on particular matters. Look, it's like this, right? I could get down on some gangster shit too, if it came down to it. But this is not categorized as that. This is categorized as a debate, right? And plus, I think that if we were to debate, I don't think that he would really have a lot of understanding in his own points. I just think that he goes head first into the beliefs that he has, And it sort of uses that same fighter's mentality that brought him into the boxing ring, into the debate. And I think that him as a new content creator, he has to understand that there has to be a balance between that. He says Tommy Robinson is a face of hate. Others are scared to come forward. Yeah, I wasn't talking about, but Tommy Robinson obviously is part of that too. But I think Tommy Jacobs is even more extreme than Tommy Robinson. Yeah, I think Tommy Jacobs is way more extreme than Tommy Robinson because Tommy Jacobs can actually fight. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, you could argue and say, you know, it's half of fighting, but, you know, he could throw hands. Unlike Tommy Robinson, he's just, you know, a regular street old hooligan. But at the same time, when it comes to Tommy Jacobs, he needs to be very careful because he lives in a very dangerous part of the world where Muslims are known to do extremely dangerous things. And on top of that, man, you know, there's just so much hate in the world right now. Why even perpetuate it, right? But in that regard, guys, listen, that is all that I have for you on this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. This has been one of my favorite live streams that I have done thus far, and I hope that it becomes your favorite too. And I hope that we engage more numbers when we go off on this one and people rewatch it back, you know, in the future and in the minutes and hours and days to come after this. All right, guys. Like and subscribe. Check out my videos previous to this, all my live streams, videos, etc. I will see you in the next one. Inshallah.